All right, guys, time to move on to part 2 of our trigonometry notes. So now we've discussed the trigonometry ratios, our SOHCAHTOA, and now we're going to apply that. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and put SOHCAHTOA across the top of my screen so that I have access to it visibly. All right, so I've put the mnemonic across the top. You will notice I use the equation editor so that we have S equals O over H, C equals A over H, and T equals O over A. So it's going to make it a little easier for us to work with. So if you look at this assignment, you'll see that I have some numbers that are highlighted. Those are the problems that you are responsible to have done for the assignment. The other ones will be done, however, they are not required for the assignment to get the grade. So let's look here at number 4. The first thing we are going to do is highlight our given angle that we are interested in. And I'm going to use the drawing tool with a strokeness of 2. This is the angle they've given us. Now the angle we are referencing, we often will call it theta. And I'll show you how to represent that in your list. So now I've highlighted my angle. I'm going to list my label my sides. So again, we find our hypotenuse, which is across from the right angle. And I'm going to label that H. Now this other side that is highlighted is always going to be the adjacent. That's touching the angle. That's the adjacent. And the other side will be the opposite. So now I'm going to go ahead and make my list. We know that O is X, H is 19. And again, I'm going to use the equation editor, but I'm going to use the one up here so that I can say the measure of angle. Okay. You can either type out angle like I did, or it is right here. And then I'm going to put theta, which is this one right here. I'm going to close my symbols. And we know that it is going to be 28 degrees. Notice again how as I use them, they show up here. All right, so now what we need to do is look at the information we have. Since we labeled it and then listed it, we can see it here. We have an O, we have an H. So that means we're going to be using sine. So the way we're going to write that mathematically is we are going to say, sine of theta, so we're going to have 28 degrees, and we're not going to put degrees, we're just going to put 28, is equal to our unknown value over 19. So how do I get the x by itself? Well, I'm dividing x by 19. I know I need to multiply both sides by 19. So what that does is just moves the 19 out in front of the sign. So we take this and we move it here. All right. This strategy is referenced directly in our Getting Triggy with It video that we watched. So let's review that portion.
Getting Triggy with It. Roll with me right now. If you need a side, you gotta know 2 things. Okay, let's
ride.
You need
So when we look at that, you'll see they just took the 12 out from under the division sign and put it out in front. So then what we are going to do is the same thing. So we're going to say that x will be equal to 19 times the sine of 28. Now the great thing is if you look in the video, the next thing he's going to do is put it in the calculator. So I'm just going to go over here to Desmos. I'm using the scientific calculator. Many of you have been using the graphing calculator. That's going to be a little bit different. So if you put 19 sine 28, it'll give you an answer, but it's going to be a little bit different. And it might end up graphing it if you're not careful, so be careful of that. There's no reason to use that, and the inverse is going to be over here when we get to it. So 19 sine of 28 and that gives us a different answer. Now you might be wondering why that is, and that's because these are measuring in different units. You'll see here, you go over to your graph settings, you click on degrees, it'll give you the same answer. If you really want to keep using the Desmos graphing calculator, you can, but make sure it's set to degrees. However, one thing that the Desmos calculator, the graphing calculator does not do is turn your fractions and decimals back into fractions. So what you could do is, for example, 0.25 on the scientific calculator, it'll convert it to a fraction. So I would highly recommend using the scientific calculator over the graphing calculator. All right, and it says to round to the nearest tenth. That's going to be 1 decimal place. So we're going to say x is approximately. Again, if you're using the equation editor on the sidebar, you can go to Insert Symbols, and then you have approximately is right here, or you can always search the symbols, APP, it'll show up. 8.9. Make sure you get this one copied into your notes, please. All right, so I'm going to do number 5 now. You are not required to. You can skip to number 6 if you wish. First thing I'm going to do again is highlight the given angle. Then I'm going to label the sides. I have my hypotenuse right here. This is my adjacent side. And again, the side that is not highlighted is the opposite side. I'm going to go ahead and make a list. So I know that O is my unknown. A is 32, and the measure of angle theta is going to be 41 degrees. Okay. Again, you'll notice I do type these things, but they are available in the symbol palette, which is right here where the pi symbol is. You click on it, you can get any of the symbols, including approximately, degree, theta, all of them are here. Angle is down here. Okay, so now we have our list. I'm going to go ahead and set it up. I see I have O, I have A. I look at my mnemonic, T is O and A. So that means I'm going to be using the tangent. Okay, so again, like I said, I'm going to set it up. I know I'm looking for the tangent of a 41 degree angle, which will be equal to my unknown value over 32. X is up high, so we know to multiply, just like he said in the song. So I'm going to have X is equal to 32 tangent 41. And that just means 32 times the tangent of a 41 degree angle. I can type that into the calculator over here, just like that. And it tells me that the answer is 27.8. So I'm going to say that X is approximately, oh, that's a text box. Approximately 27.8. Okay, moving on to number 6. First thing I'm going to do is again highlight my angle. Notice I did bring the mnemonic down with me so it could continue to be visible for you guys. So I'm going to highlight my given angle. That's my referenced angle, 21 degrees. I am going to make a list, just like I have been. And I have my adjacent side is X, and my hypotenuse is 26. Again, adjacent is the side touching the angle. hypotenuse is the side that is across from the right angle, and opposite is the side that is not touching the angle at all. So we know we have A and H. We are also given our angle measure. So again, I'm going to say that the measure of angle theta is equal to 21 degrees. We're going to do a setup. So we can see that we have A and H. We look over at our mnemonic, which one has A and H? That's going to be cosine. So we're going to say the cosine of 21 is equal to the adjacent unknown side over the hypotenuse of 26. We see x is still up high, so we're going to multiply. Again, the way that looks when written down is just going to be x is equal to 26 times the cosine of 21. We can highlight, copy, and paste if we're using the Desmos calculator. And we get that it is 24.3 because it's 27. Again, we can go radians or degrees. We want to stick with degrees in this class. So x is approximately 24.3. Make sure you get this one copied into your notes, please. All right, again, I'm going to move on to number 7, which is not required for the assignment, but again, if you choose to do it, it's going to be beneficial to you to have. So I highlighted my given angle. I'm going to label my sides. So again, I have my hypotenuse. I'm just going to do the text. Thought it might be easier. Hypotenuse, which is directly across from the right angle box. Directly across. The other side that is touching the angle that is not the hypotenuse is adjacent. And the third remaining side is the opposite side that does not touch the angle at all. So I have that A, well, let's start with O, sorry. O is my unknown. And the reason I want to start with O is it's always first. O is on top of both in SO and TOA, so I always list O first. A is equal to 8. And then we are given the measure of angle theta. Is going to be 55 degrees. Don't forget, of course, you can handwrite these and then take pictures. Do the setup. So we said we have O and we have A. That's going to be tangent. We again look at our mnemonic. T equals O and A, so TOA. So the tangent of the 55-degree angle is going to be some unknown value over 8. And x is up high, so we know we multiply. So it's going to be 8 times the tangent of a 55-degree angle. And we get 11.4. All right, now we're going to move on to number 8. Again, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the given angle, the referenced angle. I'm going to label my sides. So across from my right angle is my hypotenuse. The other side touching my angle is the adjacent side. And the side that is not touching is my opposite side. Again, we have information with O, we have information with H. So I'll make our list. O is going to be 15. H is given as X. And the angle that we're looking at, so the measure of angle theta, is going to be 33 degrees. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and do the setup for this one. So we have O and we have H. Looking at our mnemonic, S is O and H. O and H. So we're going to use sine. Sine 33 is equal to 15 over x. Now here, x is not up high, x is down below. So what do we do? Well, let's go back to our video.
Trig to the maximum, I be axing them. How about the one time you gotta use division? Only if x is down below. X and the angle will switch, you know.
All right, so what he said, just the x and the angle will switch. And the reason for that is if we multiply both sides by x to get x from out of the denominator, we get x times the sine of 33 is equal to 15. And then we'd have to divide both sides by the sine of 33 in order to get the same thing we're about to get. So we're just going to switch these two, okay? Let me go ahead and change this real quick. So this one and this one switch. Okay. Those two switch. I know that's a very terrible arrow, but it is what it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish this up. So that means x is equal to 15 over the sine of a 33-degree angle. Again, we can copy and paste this into Desmos. And we get 27.5. So x is approximately 27.5. Okay, let's move right along. First thing I'm going to do on number 9 is again highlight my given angle. My referenced angle is this angle right here. And then I'm going to label my sides. I have a hypotenuse right here. Again, it's right across from the right angle. This one is our adjacent side because it's the other one that is touching the angle. And the opposite side is across from the angle. It does not touch at all. So we're given A is 36, H is x, and the measure of angle theta is going to be 43. And there's nothing on this side at all. We are not using any other information but what was given, okay? So now we do the setup. We have A and H. That means we're going to use cosine. So cosine of a 43-degree angle is equal to adjacent of 36 over x, the hypotenuse. Again, when x is down below, the x and the angle will switch. So that means we have x is equal to 36 divided by the cosine of 43, which gives us 49.2. Up next, number 10. Again, first thing I'm going to do is trace my angle or highlight my angle. That's weird. Okay, sorry about that. And then I'm going to go ahead and label my sides. We have a hypotenuse, which is directly across from the right angle. Looks like we have no information about it, so we're not going to use it. Our adjacent side is the angle that is the side that's touching the angle and is not the hypotenuse. And our opposite side is the one that is not touching the angle at all. So our opposite side is 25. Our adjacent side is given as x. And then the measure of angle theta is going to be 72 degrees. All right, we have O and A, so that's tangent. We have our T. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up as tangent of a 72-degree angle is equal to 25 over x. And again, like he said in the video, when x is down below, the x and the angle will switch. Sorry about that. Little typo. All right, and that gives us 8.1, about. So x is approximately 8.1. Okay, and now number 11. All right. So again, first thing I am going to do is highlight my referenced angle, which is this one right here. I'm going to label my sides. So again, my hypotenuse directly across from the right angle is this side marked 11. The adjacent side is the other side touching the angle that is not the hypotenuse, the other one that is highlighted. And opposite is the one that does not touch the hypotenuse at all. We are given that the adjacent side is x and the hypotenuse is 11. And then we are given that the measure of angle theta is going to be 64 degrees. Let's do the setup. We have A and H. So again, we're going to use cosine. Cosine has A and H. So cosine of 64 will be equal to my adjacent side, which is unknown, over my hypotenuse of 11. Okay, since x is up high, we know to multiply. So x is equal to 11 times the cosine of 64 degrees. And that is going to be 4.8 approximately. All right, so now we're going to do 11 and 12. We are going to have to draw pictures for these, and I do highly recommend that you do so. This is not something that you should overlook. Everyone I know who does these type of word problems will use a picture, okay? And again, the picture does not have to be complicated. So I already know we're doing a trigonometry assignment. I'm going to do a right angle. I'm not making it to scale or anything. And just for the sake of accuracy, I'll stick my right angle there. Now it says Jake leaned a 12-foot ladder against his house. So let's think about what's important here. We know it is a 12-foot ladder, and he's leaning it against the house. So one thing I did mention to you is that ladders are almost always the hypotenuse, which is going to be 12 feet. Okay. Now they tell us that the angle formed by the ladder and the ground, so angle between the ladder and the ground is 68. The ladder is the hypotenuse. So the angle we are concerned with is this one right here. I'll make this small. And I'm going to put 68 degrees. And then it asks us how far from the base of the house. So we know we're looking here at the ground. Where did he put it? We want this side. So this is our X. It's also our adjacent side. Oops. So now I'm going to make my list. Notice I'm not even labeling O. I see that I have something for adjacent. I see that I have something for hypotenuse. A is going to be my unknown. H is going to be 12. And the measure of angle theta is equal to 68 degrees. And we have A and H, so we're going to do CAH. So that's going to be our cosine. And then it's going to be equal to our unknown value over 12. Again, we see X is up high, so we can multiply. So X is equal to 12 times the cosine of 68 degrees. And that's going to give us approximately 4.5. And again, remember we're going to answer words with words. So down here, I'm going to put, he placed the ladder about 4.5 feet from the wall. And X is approximately 4.5. All right, remember whenever we give it in words, whenever the problem is in words, we should give our answer back in words. All right, next question. And it's the last one we're going to do for now, because it's the last one on the page. Again, I'm going to draw my triangle. Blue. All right, and again, for accuracy, I'll go ahead and put my right angle marker. Okay, a ramp is used to load suitcases on an airplane. Again, if we have a ramp, it's probably the hypotenuse. Okay, so the ramp. If a cargo door is 7 feet from the ground, 7 feet from the ground, and the angle is 25, that's formed by the end of the ramp and the ground, how long is the ramp? That's the important information. So again, we know our ramp is going to be our hypotenuse. Like I said, ramps are hypotenuses. It's going to be, oops, wrong one, unknown. The angle we're focusing on is the one between the ramp and the ground. So that's this angle here. And I might need to make that smaller than I would normally. So I'm going to make it a bigger image. And it's 25 degrees. So the angle is 25 degrees. And the cargo door is 7 feet from the ground, which means the cargo door is up here, right here. So that is the cargo door. So that means this side is 7. And that's actually also the opposite side. I'll put this right here because of the space. So we're going to make our list. We know that the opposite side is 7. The hypotenuse is unknown. Okay. And the measure of angle theta is 25 degrees. And we can look at our mnemonic, our SOHCAHTOA, which is up here now. O over H gives me sine. So the sine of 25 is going to be equal to 7 over the unknown hypotenuse. Again, when x is down below, the x and the angle switch. And then we run it through the calculator, because again, we're not doing this by hand. And that's going to give us 16.6. So, put this answer. Okay. And again, we gave the problem in words, so we're going to give the answer back in words. The ramp is about 16.6 feet long. And that's it. So that's everything for our using trigonometry to find a side notes. Please make sure that you submit this and turn it in. Remember, the only ones that you are required to do to get the grade are the ones that are highlighted. Feel free to review the video anytime, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.